Hello there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brie Castellini, and I'm an independent filmmaker based in New York City. And today, I want to talk to you about the Bechdel test, specifically how it's the worst. Even more specifically, how we should stop measuring the feminism of film and television with it. Let's explore. First, a bit of backstory. The Bechdel test was created in 1985 by comic book artist Bechdel, and it requires a movie to pass three simple tenets. First, the movie has to have at least two female characters. Second, those characters have to have a conversation with one another. And third, that conversation cannot be about a man. And even more backstory, some quick facts about women in the film and television industry. In 2015 and 2016, 79% of broadcast, cable, and streaming programs had featured casts of more men than women. In 2015, females comprised of 22% of protagonists, 18% of antagonists, 34% of major characters, and 33% of all speaking characters in the top 100 domestic grossing films. But back to the Bechdel test. So back in late 2013, several major Swedish cinemas decided to start using the Bechdel test to rate movies that they showed at their theaters the same way that you rate, like, M for mature, R for NC-17, etc., etc. And the internet rejoiced. Take this example from Jezebel. Unafraid to incorporate feminist thought, i.e. basic bleeping equality, into official policy, can you imagine? Some Swedish movie theaters are introducing a new rating system based on feminist theory's beloved Bechdel test. Consumers will now be able to select what entertainment they consume based on how successfully it treats women like human beings. Except, no. Because the Bechdel test isn't actually measuring how well movies treat women like actual human beings. In fact, using the Bechdel test like this might actually make the problem of female representation worse. First, it's a quantitative analysis being used as a qualitative one, and that's not how analysis works. The Bechdel test only looks at numbers and does nothing to actually analyze how well a female character is being used or how much of a human being they are portrayed as. To be fair, this is not the Bechdel test's fault, but rather the people who keep misunderstanding how analysis works. Having two women speak in a movie does not equal feminism. Next, the test defines male way too broadly. For example, if a woman in a movie speaks to another woman character in that movie about being a mother, but the child that she is speaking of is male, that movie fails the Bechdel test because, again, the third tenet of it is that conversation the two women have cannot be about a man, and a man is just anyone male or anyone identifying as male. Third up, using the Bechdel test to rate feminism actually sometimes confirms the worst stereotypes about feminism and pop culture and is sort of sexist towards women. So the second part of the Bechdel test, where those two women have to have a conversation with one another, essentially says that women are only valuable or treated well by the movie if they are around another woman, which is absurd. By framing movies in context of the Bechdel test, we are effectively telling women that anytime they speak to or of men, they are hurting the cause of feminism, and we're telling men that their very existence hurts women. And what does that say about modern feminism? Finally, the final and probably most important reason that the Bechdel test should not be used to measure feminism is that it effectively discounts any platonic, non-romantic conversation between a man and a woman as non-progress. If a woman talks to a man in a movie about her job, or the war that they're both fighting, or the fate of the world, how is that harming female representation in film? We should be celebrating movies that allow men and women to be friends, or even more than friends, if both of those characters are full, actual people. Using the Bechdel test as the way that we measure progress and feminism is basically telling Hollywood that, yeah, just throw in a conversation with two women where they talk about, I don't know, makeup or their periods or whatever, and hey, you've got a feminist movie on your hands. That's dangerous, and that's not actually helping anyone. So what do I propose instead? There are a ton of existing film and pop culture analysis things out there that you can research that are built for this exact purpose. But if you're looking for a catchy pop culture test, I think I've got one for you. Introducing the Castellini test. What is the Castellini test, you asked? Well, just you wait. First, the movie has to have at least two named female characters with 5 lines of dialogue at least each. 2, those characters have to have at least one conversation, not necessarily with the other female, either not about their partner or with their partner and not about their relationship. 3. One of those women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she was written out of the movie, it could not reach the same ending. Again, this is a highly simplified test to determine a very complex and very important thing about the media we consume. So as much as I think the Castellini test definitely does a much better job at measuring feminism in movies, I am by no means saying that it is the be-all end-all of pop culture critique. We all have a personal responsibility to critically examine the media we consume, and to critically examine the things that we use to critically examine that stuff. Media representation shapes culture. Media shapes culture. Media tells culture what is important and what is normal. And if we don't see women on screen as full actual people, and we don't analyze the depictions of women on screen, then we're telling culture that women aren't important. And that is unacceptable.